Hey, welcome to Live with Lynn. If you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, be sure to type replay so I know you were here. I'm Lynn Huber, and I appreciate you being here. So today we're going to talk about dealing with change. Change is so difficult for so many people to deal with. And right now, we're all dealing with a lot. Seriously. So some of us have had to learn to work from home. Some of us already worked from home, but for those that aren't used to it, it's different, right? Some of us may have been laid off from our jobs. Most of us obviously have had to shelter in place through this pandemic. Even the people that are working the critical, what they're calling the critical workers, in the grocery stores and all that. So bless you guys. We're so thankful that you are. But even for you, change has been happening. A lot of changes, right? And none of us know what our lives are going to look like when we get through this. They say that our lives are going to be very different. So it's not only with the coronavirus. I mean, change handles a lot. Change happens a lot in every area of our lives. So Avon recently went through the purchase by LG towards the end of last year, and there's been a lot of changes in Avon, and I think we're through most of that now, but it was hard on my team members and actually hard on Avon reps all over, actually. But if you're in any business, I mean, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you're going to deal with change. Even if you work in a job, you're going to have to deal with change. If you're in school, if you have kids, it's all over. Even in our family lives. Heck, I mean, right now, if it wasn't for this coronavirus, I would be in Jamaica on the beach drinking an umbrella drink. So, it's just a lot of change, right? But we all deal with it. So I went looking for some tips this morning and found some tips to help us in dealing with change. So the first one is acceptance. So this is probably the biggest step and the most necessary one. You have to accept that life is always going to be changing. That's just the one true thing that you can depend upon above all else. Change happens, right? Way back when you were in high school, that was a lot of years ago for me. But, even then, everything changed when you graduated, right? When you were hanging out with your friends and then you had to leave your friends and y'all had to go different directions. And I mean, that was probably our first hardest change, maybe. That's not necessarily true for everybody, probably. And there are going to be plenty more examples all through your life. I mean, we have changes all the time, every day. So, hi, Sarah from Northern California. Thank you. You are a great inspiration. Thank you. I appreciate you. You just made my day. So anyway, the next one, don't get too comfortable. The biggest changes seem to always happen when we are really content or comfortable, right? While there may not be any scientific evidence to back that up, you should always be ready for anything that comes your way. When you're comfortable in your situation and you let your guard down, it seems like that makes it more of a shock when something does change. And we get stuck in that rut, and then that makes it even harder to change because we're comfortable in that rut. And besides, you know what? If you're too comfortable, you're not even growing. You're not growing. So change is good, and you always want to deal with change, whether you like it or not, right? Talk about your feelings towards change. So sometimes people tend to let things build up inside and they don't talk about their situations, or if they do, they don't talk to the right people, or maybe even in the right ways. I mean, if the changes are at work, for instance, consider talking to your boss or your manager about the impact of those changes. Your manager is a human being, despite what people might otherwise believe about bosses. They are still human. They do still have feelings. And if you're in business, maybe other people that are in business, or your upline if you're in a network marketing company, but present your concerns in a professional manner and try not to flare up your anger, even if it isn't directed at your manager. Because you know what? It does no good. It does no good to just complain or whine about change. It makes more sense to talk it through and figure out how you're going to deal with it, and maybe have, you're talking to somebody who can help you get through it. But to just whine and complain or get angry, that doesn't solve anything, and it doesn't help you to deal with it either. So bear in mind that your manager or whoever you're talking to might be dealing with the changes the same as you are. So, again, that's a good place for give and take, right? Because you're discussing it, you're going back and forth, you're coming up with solutions, and maybe just even easing each other's minds. Try to turn the change into your favor. So the phrase, turn lemons into lemonade, we've heard that all of our lives, right? It's probably been pretty overused, but it's hard to deny the meaning of it and the impact from that meaning. So if you're dealing with change in one form or another, see what angles you can use to make it work to your benefit. Turn that lemon into lemonade. If you can control those changes, if there's something that you're doing, if you're the one that's making those changes, and if it's affecting other people, try to keep those to a minimum. If you try to put into place too many changes at once, it might overwhelm the people who are affected by them. And people need time to absorb those changes and incorporate them into their lives. If you bombard them with a bunch of changes, they're going to likely rebel, and you're going to be left picking up the pieces. But then again, sometimes the changes you put into place, they can't be helped. I mean, like I said, change does happen. So if you do have control over them, maybe try to introduce them slowly over time rather than all at once. But again, it's just we need to deal with it, right? So another one, join support groups. Sometimes dramatic changes happen. I mean, horrendous changes like a death strikes or a long-term illness, or maybe you're trying to give up some type of addiction, or something like that. I mean, there may be other types of changes when people really need to reach out and they need to get help. And so sometimes the impact can be so huge that you need the support of others. So if you're in that type of situation, or even if it's not that big of a deal, like a death or an addiction, or maybe it's smaller ones, but if it's something you're having a hard time dealing with on your own, please get help. Please seek out, a counselor or someone that knows, that's trained, that can help you. Trust your instincts. People may be forced into situations or decisions that go against what they believe in. And you know what? You don't have to do that, right? I mean, if you find yourself in that kind of a situation, it's best to go with your gut or trust your instincts. If the change doesn't feel right and you have no power to counter it, then maybe you need to remove yourself from the situation if it's something you feel strongly about. But the good thing about that is it's your choice. You get to choose. Of course, when you choose, you also choose the effects of that, right? I mean, if it's a job and you choose to quit your job, then you are unemployed, right? I mean, but you do have the power. You have the power to make that decision. And maybe if it's something that goes against what you believe, and maybe you're not in a position to quit your job right now, then you can make that choice that you will start looking for another job and get out of your job as fast as you can, right? I mean, those are your options. You get to choose. So change also can lead to all kinds of opportunities that you didn't even know. I mean, this goes in line a bit with the lemonade from lemons, but when you start to focus on change being something that's good, opportunities will be more open to you. I mean, they have a way of finding you. So these opportunities may not have presented themselves if you hadn't gone through this change. You might not have come across this. And so sometimes the best things can come out of the changes that you may have been fighting. So I know that throughout my life, that the harder that the struggle was that I went through, the more I grew and the better I came out the other side. And, sometimes you lose a job, and I mean, I've had this happen, you lose a job and you think, oh my gosh, my life is destroyed. How am I going to survive this? And maybe I actually was unemployed for a while, for a year and a half at one point. But you know what? I finally found a better job that was way better, and my life was better because of it, right? So sometimes you just have to go through that change, and your life is going to be better on the other side. You never know. So try to concentrate on adapting and getting through the change and looking forward to the good things that might be coming your way too. Excuse me. So I have some action steps that you can take to help you deal better with change. So the first one, deliberately make more changes in your life to get used to dealing with change. Because the more you decide deliberately that you make a conscious decision to make changes, the more comfortable you're going to be with change. And this could be something as simple as signing up for a gym membership and actually using it, right? Whatever that is, whatever you make those decisions that your changes are going to be. Handle anything that you're required to do because of changes that have taken place. So as an example, if you've been let go by your company, then make sure that you create a budget that can help you to survive the possibility of extended unemployment. So, or figure out a way that you're going to get through this. I don't know. If you lost your job and maybe you could drive Grubhub or something for a while to get you through it while you're finding another job. So handle the things that you need to do to take care of yourself and make sure that you're taken care of and that you can move forward, right? Think back to recent changes that you've had to deal with. So list several items, if possible, that where you would have handled those situations differently than you did. So you're looking back and you're looking at what did I do when I went through this change? Could I have done it differently? Because that just helps you to be better prepared to handle more changes that are coming up, right? So, hey, now I'd love to hear from you. Obviously, we've all had to deal with changes in our lifetimes. I know you have too. So what kinds of things help you to get through change and help keep you moving forward? Please get down in the comments and share with us. I would love to hear your stories. Thank you, Sarah, for being on with me live today, and anyone else who is live that just hasn't commented. Thank you to everyone who's watching the replay. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.